Welcome to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank Studio. I want to welcome you to this celebration of the people who work so hard to make Mississippi such a great place to live, work, and play. I used to say coastal Mississippi, but since the show now airs on Thursdays into the Delta and Jackson market, we'll be adding more days and more markets as we go forward. I'm excited that we get a chance to learn about Mississippi, learn from people all across the state who are working in the trenches. We're going to be going to my friend Michael Sunderman, the president and publisher of M2 Media. You know him from South Mississippi Living and other publications that he publishes. But I wanted to share with you a little bit as we enter sort of the final stretch of this year. Again, it's hard to get your head around the fact that 2023 is almost behind us, and now we're starting to reflect on 2023 and starting to think about 2024. So it's amazing how fast time flies. That's why it's important for us to live in the moment. I'll be doing some reviews of shows that we've done over the course of this year. And more recently, if you missed my conversation, for example, with Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann, I would really encourage you to go to Facebook or YouTube or your favorite podcast and look up the Ricky Matthews Show and listen to my conversation with Delbert Hosemann. We actually we talked a little bit about policy, but we talked a lot about just reflecting on this time of year, and in particular, obviously, we talked about Thanksgiving, but what the Lieutenant Governor was thankful for. He and I have known each other for a long time. I was first introduced to him when he was running for a statewide office when I was publisher of the Sun Herald, and then when I left, I had responsibilities for Mississippi Press for a period of time when I went over into Alabama, and for a period of time sort of lost contact, and the real opportunity through this show to reconnect with so many people, including Delbert Hosemann, has been a real gift. This show's been a gift to me. But if you missed that conversation, I really encourage you to go to listen to it. You'll get a sense of a lot of things that he's focused on, from education to economic development to the really critical healthcare challenges we have in this state. I think you'll enjoy listening to that. I had a wonderful conversation with the Department of Public Safety, the commissioner for the Department of Coast Public Safety, Sean Tyndall, someone who, again, I've known for many years. He was an assistant attorney, district attorney in Harrison County, and then he went on to be a senator and then a judge, and then he's in this position. I think Sean has tremendous upward mobility, and one of the things that he and I talked about was the bench strength in the Republican Party. And as I mentioned during that conversation, Frank Bordeaux, who is an insurance executive who's on this show regularly talking about the insurance challenges, he's also the chairman of the Republican Party in Mississippi. Frank told me he doesn't look forward to the future in terms of future political races, because there are some really, really, really good conservative Republican candidates that are on the bench now that are going to be, going up against each other, and you don't like to see that when you're in his particular chair. But the fact is, we've got some good bench out there, and I think Sean is among those, and I would encourage you to go listen to that. Anyway, we'll be sharing lots of conversations, like the continuous conversations I had with Matt McDonald from Mississippi Gulf Coast Gulf Coast Coliseum and Convention Center. The enormous success that they're having, the fact that they invested nearly $1 million in the facility during the pandemic effort, that gave them the ability to go get the big acts. And in the Coast Coliseum, man, they're hitting on a lot of cylinders these days. They're beating out New Orleans and Mobile and Gulf Shores. They've put coastal Mississippi back on the map for big events, and they keep getting these $1 million plus events in one night. It's incredible success. And the important part about the Coast Coliseum, and Matt will remind you of this when we talk each time, is that they are not funded by they don't have tax dollars coming to them over the transom. They run it like a business. They have a P&L. They have revenue they got to go get. They got to watch their expenses, and they have to be innovative. That's what a privately owned business does, and that's the way Matt and his team run it. So lot to reflect about. We've had a great year on this show. So many conversations, as I have said many times, well over 900 conversations. And someone that I enjoy checking in with is my friend Michael Sunderman. We used to be competitors. I would say we were friendly competitors, because we had a lot of respect for each other. And it's been great through this show connecting with Michael, who has given back to the community in so many different ways through his company, M2 Media. Of course, you know them from South Mississippi Living, but they also publish Discover South Mississippi, Jackpot Magazine, Mississippi Gaming News, and they're into publishing so many other publications for Chambers and others all across coastal Mississippi. Without any further ado, let me welcome my friend Michael back to the Ricky Matthews Show. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. Good to see you, Ricky.
So look, every time we talk, I look behind you. I see, U.S. Open. I remember, during our competitive years, you used to bring a bunch of people to the Masters every year. You love golf, don't you? How's your back doing, and how's your golf game?
My back is, 80, 85%. And so my golf game is about 88, 85% too. So I can still get around. I think I shot 75 or 76 the other day, which is decent for me these days. So it's all right.
I shot a 76 once.
On the front nine, yeah.
On the front nine, yeah. I joked that and you know this, I used to play once a year to remind myself why I don't play. But see, you can't fish and hunt and do the things I like to do and be a golfer, because you know if you're going to be a golfer, you got to put the time into it, don't you?
You really do. It's a muscle memory sport, and you got to swing that club, every other day or two to stay in sync. So, but I love the game. It's my therapy. Like you go out and fish and hunt, that's my therapy too. So.
And my brother-in-law's big time golfers, Alan Picard and Peter Bahanovich, both live over in Windance.
Yep.
And they love the golf, and it's kind of part of
his son's playing for St. Patrick now.
Yeah, little Peter Jr. What an amazing kid he is. I sat with him at our Thanksgiving dinner, and I think he had grown 6 more inches since the last time I talked to him. I think he's going to be well over 6 feet tall, and such a good looking young man. And his brother Nico is coming along pretty rapidly too. So they got 2 great young men. I love them to death. I can't fish and hunt with them enough. Can't spend enough time with them. I just love my family, and Peter's got 2 wonderful kids. That's for sure.
When I used to coach high school golf at St. Patrick, you'd see a 7th or 8th grader one year, then they come back and you don't recognize these kids. They shoot up, a foot over summertime, and they're young men by now. So
I know. Listen, I mentioned to someone the other day when I was when my kids were younger, I coached all of their soccer teams. So first Tori, and then Jordan, and then Justin's team, all the way through select. So for about 15 years, man, I was coaching 2 and 3 teams at a time, traveling, doing the travel thing and all that. And I got to know so many incredible young people during that time, and I'll be out and about, and one will say, "Hey, Coach Matthews, how you doing?" And I'll look, and I have no idea who that is. And they will remind me. And of course, you don't recognize it because when you're with them, they're just kids. But, man, it's so awesome to be able to be around kids like that. I know that when you were involved in that, I remember you posting and how the team was doing. The team did really well. It's a joy to be able to coach kids, isn't it?
It is, especially if they're genuinely excited about the sport you're coaching. Or they have a little bit of talent that you can work with, and then to get them to believe in themselves and to work as a team, and then to finish our coaching career with 3 state championships in a row was pretty fun. And like you said, I see kids come up to me, "Hey, Coach, how are you?" And I literally don't recognize them. And deep voice. One kid's holding a baby. I'm like, "Who's that?" It's my son. I said, "What?" I'm getting old, I guess that means.
I love it. It's what life is all about. That is for sure. Hey, listen, Michael, you're president publisher with M2 Media with your wife. Tell us, for people who have not heard you and me talk before, tell us about your business.
We came here 30 years ago. Jackpot in 2024 will turn 30 years old. So we sold our newspaper companies in Arizona and Nevada and moved here to start Jackpot nearly 30 years ago. And from Jackpot, we've grown and grown and grown to now. Shows up. This is our newest little magazine here. If I do this here, Pascagoula. It's an annual book for the city of Pascagoula. So that's our 10th publication. So we focus on tourism, economic development, We've got a great relationship with Coastal Mississippi to produce their magazines, Discover Magazine. It's been a joy to grow this company and have a team around us that really is fully engulfed in our mission here. And then the other side of this, we'd love to help out charities. So we've hit over $1 million early this year. We topped $1 million to donations during our time here, and that's a lot of cash, a lot of in-kind donations, a lot of sponsorships. We just were the presenting sponsor for the Baker McCarty Renaissance to Runway fashion show, which raised $240,000 this year, a record for us.
That's incredible. Listen, when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with my friend Michael Sunderman from M2 Media. We'll see you after this break. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show. I have my friend Michael Sunderman with me now, and he is the president and publisher of M2 Media. M2, Michael and Mary being his wife.
Yep.
And he would never acclaim any success without the partnership, would you, Michael?
Never. She's 50-50, maybe more. Who knows?
I know she's a force to be reckoned with. Yeah. Hey, listen, you mentioned Coastal Mississippi a few minutes ago, and I wanted you to know that, and you and we've chatted about this before, but just to give a shout out to Coastal Mississippi, I want to, first of all, Greg Cronin, who's the immediate past chairman, I think did a terrific job of guiding the organization through some difficult times with the departure of the prior executive director and the new executive director coming on. I think that Jimmy Ladner, the current chairman, I had the opportunity to chat with him over at Cruising the Coast when we did a live remote from Town Green, and I just sense a positive air about the organization. I sense that the executive director feels like she has the ability to manage now, that they're not being micromanaged, that the board has begun to understand what the board role is. If people don't know what we're talking about, it doesn't really matter now. I don't go back and rehash old stories, but Coastal Mississippi was really struggling, and it was struggling because there were some board members dabbling too much and doing too much micromanaging. And there were some on the Harrison County Board of Supervisors that were, frankly, just disruptive. And so we've got new blood coming on the Board of Supervisors. I think it's a good thing. You've got good leadership in place at Coastal Mississippi. And I think the testament to the leadership that has been provided by the Board of Commissioners is the fact that there have been no dust-ups. The things have settled down.
Yeah, no drama.
And no drama. And we're focused on doing what's best for Coastal Mississippi. And sometimes it takes some tough roads to get to a better place, and I think that Coastal Mississippi went through that. But they're in a good spot right now, aren't they, my friend?
They are. And we were talking during a break. There's they're getting their hands on a lot of federal grant money, too. And that money is going to be used over the next several years to really go outside the market and expand their reach and really invite more and more people here to experience Coastal Mississippi. They've kind of changed their theme a little bit from the Secret Coast to Play Coastal Mississippi, and I like that better. I think the Secret Coast was cool for a while, but all right, the secret's out. Let's move on.
Yeah.
And they're doing a great job of getting people here, extending their stays, and helping support a lot of the destinations here, destination pieces like the aquarium and the attractions associations, to get them more business, and that's what they should be doing.
I think that what's important about what Coastal Mississippi does, and that's why the gaming leadership was so engaged in this. That's why the business council was so engaged in this. We need to be aligned around where we're headed. And especially, it's unfortunate that we're going through this struggle during the pandemic when in fact, in spite of all the noise and drama that was happening, gosh, man, I mean, if you think about the work they were doing on the ground, focused on the traveler, the drive-in traveler, those who drive their car to the market, what they were doing was just incredibly good, incredibly strong, and important to Coastal Mississippi. But aside from that, simply the fact, as you pointed out, the branding frame that they put on this community and how it can connect with other marketing efforts. And in the scheme of things, if you think about the amount of money that the gaming industry is spending outside this market, it causes the money that Coastal Mississippi actually spends, to pale in comparison. And we're talking about how many, Lord, what does it add up to be, Michael? $100 million plus that they're spending in
to
marketing?
The casinos, I would think that'd be a good number. Yeah, they all do outside marketing, playing programs, player development programs to outside cities at 500 miles, 1,000 miles out. So it all adds up. But you're right. Unless there's a coordinated team effort with the casino industry, the attractions committees, the restaurant associations, you name it, then we're not getting our full bang for the buck.
And the airport,
very close.
And the role that they play. So I always like to remind people when I was involved as the chairman of the tourism effort after Katrina, we framed. We'll never become a tier 1 destination resort. You think about Las Vegas as a tier 1 destination resort. New York is a tier 1 destination. We can get close, and the way we get close is we got to have a really strong Coliseum and Convention Center, which we do. We've got to have hotel rooms. We've got to have attractions, a wide range of attractions, not just casinos, but we need family attractions, which we're seeing that grow rapidly now. And we need an airport that's terrific. And our airport authority, Michael, is doing a great job. We're seeing more and more direct flights, non-connecting flights. That's really popular with the public. I have a lot of respect for Clay Williams, who's the executive director there, and their 3-man board of commissioners. But they're hitting it out of the park right now, aren't they?
Yeah, they just brought in was it Breeze Airlines?
Yes.
Direct to Tampa, Florida, and to Las Vegas.
Yeah,
those are great. So yeah, it's fun for us locals to take a trip out of town, but there's people coming back our way too, which is awesome.
What's neat about Breeze is that they have new equipment, and you think about a startup airline, and you think about maybe getting some, a niche airline like Breeze is. You think about maybe them using used equipment and whatever. But man, this is a heavily capitalized new airline. And they're in it to win it. And now we have access to them. And the other point they make is that the size aircraft that fit coastal Mississippi really well. Not too small, but not too big, just kind of the right size. And the Clay and the team there are just thrilled about it. The early response is very, very good. And people, God bless my friends in New Orleans. I was a publisher there. I lived there. I understand that city really well. I love it deeply. But they got some challenges in New Orleans, and they even have some challenges with the new airport because, the way you rent a car, in some cases, how you park is still at the old airport. It's a very awkward scenario.
Yeah, my wife and daughter are going over to see a show this week, but they're not going to stay overnight.
Yeah.
It's just.
Yeah. So
what's happening for two young ladies
starting to weigh that into their decision, and as they begin to realize that if in some cases they'll pay less, in some cases they might pay a little bit more, but when you take the tank of gas and the parking fees and the travel and maybe the unsettledness of going through I-10 during in East New Orleans where there are too many shootings, they feel safer if they go to Gulfport Airport. And again, not speaking ill of my friends in New Orleans, but it's just a reality. I mean, it's a reality. It's something that weighs in people's, calculus.
And it starts at the mayor's office and works down. So, they've got to clean up that leadership over there.
Yeah, they've got some real challenges for sure. They really do. So, Michael, how's business?
We're we'll head into December now. So we've had another good year. I told you earlier, we started Pascagoula Magazine. We've done a lot of neat niche publishing projects like Ocean Springs Shopping Guide, Play on the Bay for Hancock County Tourism, Discover for the Coastal Tourism Bureau. So we've kind of diversified, Ricky, I guess is what I'm saying. So we're not so leaning heavily on Jackpot. Jackpot was our main source of income, and living continues to thrive. People love it. We've got a brand that's stronger than and it's an easy sell, so to speak.
It's a terrific one. You and I discussed this before, but one of the as a former publisher, I understand really well the issues around newsprint costs and other raw components that are part of the printing process. Newsprint just ran amok there for a while. Is it starting to settle down some?
Yeah, it was up as high as 40% for about a year and a half, and now it's just starting to drop down. Maybe drop down 7%. I think it was the drop we had. Still higher than we were paying 2 years ago by far, though.
Yeah.
So you can only adjust your rates so much, Ricky, before you start pushing advertisers out of your products. So you have to adjust your expectations of profit on that, I guess.
Yeah, I get it completely. Is this, Mike? Is this a component of demand not being what it used to be, and those who are buying newsprint being, whether it be magazines or newspaper newsprint, just not as many active companies with the kind of circulation they used to have, and the newsprint companies are having to downsize. I mean, what's the major economic factor?
You and I were at a high level in the newspaper business for years, and you look around now, and a lot of them are gone. There's gone or greatly reduced, or a circulation of a newsprint used to be 250,000, maybe 25,000 now. So that's a lot of newsprint they're not using. The other thing is online shopping. People are shopping more and more online. So a lot of the paper plants have converted into a box stock, a cardboard stock product. So to meet the demand for boxes, UPS shipping, FedEx shipping boxes.
Yeah.
It's crazy out there, yeah. But we saw a big bump up in glossy paper prices too. So.
Well, we got to see it. We got to see newsprint manufacturers during their heyday, and I remember visiting multiple manufacturing facilities over the years. Fascinating process. Yep. Very focused on the quality of the newsprint and whatever. But those days are gone. It's amazing how fast it happened. Of course, we sort of saw it coming, but for niche publications,
Ricky?
Yeah, but for niche publications like yours, there's still a terrific market, and that's great to see. Hey, when we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Michael Sunderman from M2 Media. We'll see you after this break. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show. I have my friend Michael Sunderman from M2 Media. He's the president, publisher, owner with his wife, Mary, and he's a good friend. I really do mean that, too, actually. It's great to have friends like Michael, and we can we bounce ideas off each other all the time. And we both have a strong belief in coastal Mississippi and where it's headed. So we talk about that on a regular basis. But speaking of coastal Mississippi, as you heard at the beginning of the show, I've done since I started this over 3 years ago, going on 4 years. Michael, it's hard to think about. It's been almost 4 years of me doing this show.
That's a lot of shows.
Over 1,000 conversations now.
Yeah.
It's truly incredible. But during those conversations, I've enjoyed so many of them, people that no one knows about, people who they may know about, but only heard of, but understand, helping people understand who they are. People like investors, people who are investing private money, what I say, betting the ranch in coastal Mississippi. But you see what's happening in downtown Biloxi and Ocean Springs and Pascagoula and Bay St. Louis, and Waveland's coming on strong now. I loved in my conversation with Woody Bailey as we discussed cruising the coast, and now that they've added Waveland, now they've completed they have every coastal Mississippi community involved in it now. But he was thrilled about being able to go over to Waveland and see that, Waveland is re-emerging from its almost desert existence after Hurricane Katrina. But we have really done well, and people are investing in coastal Mississippi. The sense of place that I talk about all the time is emerging as our competitive advantage, this collection of communities that make up coastal Mississippi. But you're in a good position. You stay very much in touch with casino executives. You know how competitive they are. I'm not talking about just with each other. It's less that and more about competitive with other gaming jurisdictions across America. But we are coastal Mississippi, in spite of the challenges and the higher interest rates, we're still hitting on a lot of cylinders, aren't we?
We really are. And what's fun about what we do here is we're the storytellers. We get to tell all the stories of all the good stuff that's happening here. And like you said, a lot of our stories are on a big projects, but we love the little mom and pop stories too, or the kind of person you don't hear much about, or the charity that doesn't get much publicity. We'd love to step in and give them some good copy and some good press, because there's a lot to talk about here. We could publish twice as many pages, I guess, of good stories. So it's what we love to do, and there's plenty of stories to tell.
And people wondered after because think about this, during the pandemic, coastal Mississippi and the casinos did an incredibly good job of focusing on the drive-in market, because as we learned during those shows during the pandemic, over 80% of the people who come to coastal Mississippi come here in their cars.
Mm-hmm.
And so the powers that be recognized both within the tourism community and within the gaming community that they needed to really market heavily to the drive-in market. And man, that paid serious dividends. When you think about having sort of that strategic objective with the database marketing capabilities that they have, we did really well through the pandemic. So and they had a lot of federal money out there, and people wondered about what would the impact be when the federal money ran out and the pandemic was gone? How would the gaming community do? And they've held their own. I mean, I was having a conversation with a leader at Beau Rivage the other day, and she said Beau Rivage is having some of its best days ever.
Yes.
That's true all along the coast, isn't it?
It is. 2020, 2021, 22 were record years for gaming. I think 23 is going to come in really strong, but not necessarily a record. And going back to the pandemic, remember that theme they had, play it safe. And they really came up with some plans that assured the guest or the visitor here that all the precautions were being taken to make sure your room's clean and sterilized, the playing space and restaurants. And I tell you, that just shattered people's expectations of how many people come here. And we couldn't hardly house them all for a while. So, but yeah, the gaming strong. We just did a fun event, Ricky, for the Gaming Association. We did the first annual Mississippi Casino Cup tournament up in Tunica, Mississippi. We had a lot of casinos come up to Tunica and play Tunica National. And look at this. Look at this thing. Can you see it?
Wow. He's holding. Describe for the radio audience what you're holding.
This is a giant casino cup. It's the inaugural casino cup. And you see right here, Island View Casino won the inaugural casino cup. So that'll be a perennial tournament. And then every year you have to fight to get your name on that tournament. So I'll be taking this down to the Carters down at Island View, and they get to keep that in the executive office for a year for bragging rights. And next year, someone else is going to try to take it.
That'll be a lot of fun. It is cool. As competitive as they may be, the casino industry does a great job sticking together, don't they?
They do. There's a lot of rules and stuff that they can and cannot discuss, and rates and stuff like that. But overall, they're trying to make the experience, whether it be in Tunica, Vicksburg, Greenville, the coast, as something that on a whole is a great experience. And they know when they invite a guest down here, they're going to go out and look around. They're going to go try another casino. Hopefully they're going to try some great local restaurants too. But they are, as you said, very competitive, but they understand the big picture is you've got to give these guests a great experience in any market they come to in Mississippi.
And they continue to invest heavily. And for people who are not familiar with the story of coastal Mississippi, I had the real honor of being the publisher of the Sun Herald during some of the most important formative days of the casino industry. And what Mississippi got it right, because Mississippi said we're going to not limit the number of casinos. We're going to let the market decide how that works. We're not going to overtax them. If you look at other gaming jurisdictions, they saw that as a way to get a sugar daddy for their community. And so they're taxed, of course, and it comes back to education. It comes back to cities and counties and the state, but not overtaxed when you compare the taxes they're paying in Mississippi compared to other communities. And so when the Gaming Commission comes together, they're really focused on, we want to continue to make sure that we have a regulatory environment that makes it possible for us to do business in a way that's competitive, and that we're not overly regulated, and that we have a taxing situation. We're cool. We understand that our taxes go back to building a better Mississippi, but we don't want to be overtaxed, because if every dollar we pay in taxes, probably less money we're going to pay on marketing that brings people here, or on employees that helps us serve this community. So it's really worked, and it is a magic story. And it's one of the reasons why coastal Mississippi, and Mississippi for that matter, has been really, really successful at a time when we've seen the proliferation of gaming all across the United States. I mean, it's one of the key reasons we've been successful, hasn't it, Michael?
Yeah, I think we were the third state to get legalized gaming, and now I think it's in 42 or 44 states now. Some form of gaming. There's a push now to kind of take the sports betting online or on your phone, and there's a debate within the casino industry here in Mississippi of what's right and what do they want it or don't they want it. I don't know a whole lot about it, but we're seeing other states have taken that approach, and it's sucking money out of Mississippi in terms of gaming, because you can literally just cross the state line and place a bet somewhere now.
Hey, Michael, here's what I compare it to, and I don't have a dog in the hunt, but just from a technological competitive point of view, sometimes you can attempt to stop something like that from happening, but you're not recognizing that this is where it's headed. And this reminds me of newspaper companies that tried to ignore the internet and tried to hoard their content and protect their circulation, and they didn't, as a result, prepare for the inevitability of where the digital tsunami was going. Sometimes the handwriting's on the wall, and this may be a case with sports betting that's the case as well. There may be some intricacies about it that I don't fully appreciate, but it does seem to me that technologically you can only hold that back for so long.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the people that are arguing for it have strong opinions, and certainly the ones that are saying, hey, wait a minute, this is not necessarily good for all of us. Because I think this really probably benefits the biggest casinos in the state who have the money to install the software and the technology stuff, whereas the smaller casinos would not have that ability. So that's probably that's why I see it, at least. That's the pros and cons.
And then sometimes waiting, you get a chance to really understand where is it headed. You don't have to be so speculative about it. You can, there will be more certainty around what's happening around the United States, and to what extent is that affecting Mississippi's ability to gain that dollar and other states are getting it instead. That's something that will benefit, I think, closing the gap on that. Sometimes
when they first launched sports betting, no one kind of knew the impact, and it was way, way bigger than they expected. It's a huge new piece of the pie, so to speak, for these casinos to do that. And now they're seeing it slip away to other states. So they're probably going to make a move on that one. So
yeah, it's really important, but it's part of the ever-changing, market and the digital tsunami that hits every industry, whether you like it or not. You have to understand, how can I benefit from it? It's better to have a fraction of a dollar than no dollar at all. So that's some of the decisions that people have to make. Hey, when we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Michael Sunderman, president and publisher of M2 Media. Hey, we'll talk about the Baco Foundation Renaissance to Runway, and what's the latest at the Mississippi Aquarium. He's on the board there. We'll see you after this. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank Studio. I have my friend Michael Sunderman, who's the president and publisher of M2 Media. South Mississippi Living, the magazine, Discover South Mississippi, Jackpot magazine, Mississippi Gaming News, and many other publications here in coastal Mississippi that they're involved in. It's been great catching up with you, Michael. I told Michael during the break that it feels like we talked yesterday, even though it's been a while. But, it all comes back to you pretty quickly when you got a partner in the community like Michael, where we've worked together for a long time, Michael. I don't even want to, actually, I met you when you first entered this market. Now, how long ago was that?
It'll be 30 years in 2024.
Oh, my goodness. That makes you feel old, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I got a lot of wisdom I gained over the years. I don't feel like I'm that old, though. I really don't. I'm young at heart, and I feel good, thank God. Yeah. I do thank God as I do the sound of the cross, and hope to stay that way. That's for sure. You've been active in the community, Michael, for a lot of years. You personify what it's like to be an entrepreneur and work hard in your business, but also, your willingness to give back. And one of the things that you've been involved in, and you've seen a lot of change there, is the Mississippi Aquarium. And I think one of the most important changes they made a few years ago, and we've talked about it in past shows, but it's this notion of getting real business leaders engaged in the board, people who have to sign paychecks and really know what it means to be competitive and market and all of that. The aquarium has really gone through a lot of really important changes in terms of its exhibits, and lots of other things. But the board has been active, and you've had some good success, haven't you?
We have. I came on the board while it was being constructed. So I've been on there like 4 or 5 years, yes. And probably about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years, Mayor Billy Hughes came to the board and said, "All right, guys, you got to work harder. We're not meeting the expectations or the goals." So kind of gave us all a little swift kick in the butt and said, I know this is a volunteer position, but you got to work harder. So we actually went out then and looked for some people, like you said, in the community that had a little skin in the game, and we brought in about 6 or 7 new board members that have really made a big change to us. Brought in some different people in different positions, and then we designed and opened up Changing Tides. That was about 6 months ago, and that's a whole new multi-million-dollar exhibit. We had a building that we're using for multi-purpose stuff that was just kind of open inside, and now when you go inside, it's a trail through different fresh waters and Caribbean water fish, and we have spiders and bugs and stuff there, and birds and a sloth, and that's really impacted attendance. In fact, we tied our attendance record for all of 2022 by October. So we had 2 months left to go. We already beat the record. So we're having a good year on attendance. Our profitability is looking better and better. We're not profitable yet. I want to say that. But our losses are less and less and less, down to a fairly manageable position. And we think with the trend lines now, we'll be profitable in the very near future. And,
well, you wouldn't expect to be profitable given the kind of investment and the kind of operational costs, and really starting. You have to understand the market. You have to understand how's this going to fit in the market. What's the role of this attraction, and what does you're dealing with up to this point a lot of speculative P&L stuff.
Yep.
Now you're in the real world, and you adjust in the real world appropriately. And you mentioned the Changing Tides. I haven't seen it yet. I look forward to getting by and taking a look at it. But it's 20 plus new exhibits. I've had the opportunity to speak to leadership from there. They've been on my show to talk about it. But what they've done, and I think this is important, is they listen carefully to what visitors say. And one of the things they said is they want it to be constantly fresh to them. So if someone's a member, for example, and they come this year, they want to be able to come next year again and see new stuff. They don't want it to feel the same. You can't let stale be the name of the game. It has to be fresh, and you have to be constantly thinking about how fresh it should be. But what's different about running an aquarium than like running a casino? Casinos are always thinking this way. You got to be fresh. And they've really listened carefully, and you guys have made tremendous investments in that, haven't you?
We have, I think, about $100 million total now, all in. So, but listen, our insurance is well over $1 million a year. Just to keep the pumps and stuff running is millions of dollars a year. Feed the fish, millions of dollars a year. Replace the fish that pass away, millions of dollars a year. So there's a high revenue goal to do that, and we need about 400,000 visitors a year to really be robust and profitable. And we're right around that 300,000 mark right now. So we need to increase it by about 20, 30, 40% to really make this thing work. And we're doing more and more unique events there. Bluey, the cartoon character, was a huge hit. We've got the mermaids coming in. We're on a campaign right now to raise money to build an exhibit for our penguins, and we've got half dozen penguins that need a home right now.
Wow,
yeah,
that's incredible.
Huge. I think the penguins will be a bigger attraction than dolphins.
Hey, listen, we didn't have time to talk about it, but the Baco Foundation Renaissance of Runway Fashion Show raised over $240,000 this year. You guys were heavily involved in that. But listen, thanks for your contributions to the community. It's always great to catch up with you. I'm glad to hear you guys are doing well. And so thank you for joining me, my friend.
Thank you, Ricky, my friend. Appreciate it.
This has been Michael Sunderman, the president and publisher of M2 Media. Have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow.